I hate to say good things come out of Katrina or opportunities arose after Katrina, but one positive change we saw after the storm. With the government's dismal response at every level, it fell to the nonprofits, to the neighborhood organizations, to the faith-based organizations to rebuild much of the affected areas. Committee for Better New Orleans is working to just do what their name says and build a better New Orleans by involving the citizenry, by trying to get more people engaged and actively participating, and recognizing that we won't be able to move forward substantially with the real change we need to see unless the majority of the citizenry is involved and educated and participating.
Post-Katrina, our biggest project has been a citizen participation project.
Right, and the CPP is it's a way for citizens all over the community to communicate with each other and communicate with government. And NPN, as an entity that had brought together many neighborhoods, was a perfect partner for us.
We're good at it.
Committee for Better New Orleans is an organization that traces its roots back to the 1960s. At the core, what we do is work at systemic levels to create the kind of change that really makes a difference and is really enduring. The underlying principle in that work is that we want to bring all voices to the table. Citizen participation program, these have been around for many years, over 30 years in some cities. Fundamentally, at its core, it's a communications tool. And the main focus of that is communication between citizens and government. The idea is that government, at the beginning of its decision-making processes, will let the citizens know what's being contemplated.
It is the citizens that did this. CBNO was the engine that pushed this. CBNO was the engine that secured the funding to make this happen. But it was the voices of our citizens that put this model together.
What is the strategy to actually get the process off the paper and into action?
Two of the oldest, best programs, citizen participation programs in the country, Portland, Oregon, and Minneapolis, in the last 2 years have conducted and released long-term studies of their programs. And in both cases, their number one conclusion was that the exclusively neighborhood-based approach was leaving out too many citizens. The people here recognized very quickly, intuitively, that we have a lot of folks in New Orleans who do participate in community, but do not participate at the neighborhood level. They may do it through church, they may do it through a business group, they may do it through an issue they care about. So the citizens recognize that shortcoming of the traditional model and have designed what we call communities of interest to be a corollary part of the citizen participation program.
So we've actually proposed what we're calling communities of interest, which refers to groups that have a shared interest, such as business, religious groups, ethnic groups, or issue-defined groups like organizations or individuals who care very much about housing issues or criminal justice issues.
We have changed the way and process by which people are engaged. So your rights are, yes, you have a right to vote. You have a right to be a part of a process. You have a right to know what the budgets are in your government and how they're spending your tax dollars. But you also have a responsibility.
Last year, there was a proposal to put a chicken processing plant along the river at one end of the French Quarter at the base of two major streets. But what people eventually found out was a chicken processing plant uses large quantities of ammonia, which is a very volatile, toxic chemical. So unfortunately, this information did not get out to the neighborhoods until well after plans were underway. If we had a CPP in place, the information about the whole project would have gotten to the neighborhoods sooner. So the information would have been out in the community in depth at a much more timely basis. The developer would have benefited because the developer ended up moving anyway and could have done so 6 months earlier and not wasted time and money that were lost during that period.